back to the barbershop. I'm Barber Dave. You know, we've all heard the official story of daylight saving time, right? It saves energy, and it's always been about the farmers, or for the farmers. But what if I was to tell you that it's all a lie? For over a century, most of us participated in this mandatory government program that doesn't save us a single dime, but it's costed us billions. Right, more daylight in the evening sounds great. I love it. Until you realize the health risk, lost productivity, and all the confusion it causes. You know, twice a year, our collective sense of time is thrown into a blender. We stumble into spring by losing an hour's sleep, and then we lurch right back into fall by gaining one. We're told this is just a small price to pay for progress. But the truth is, you got the pillars all holding up daylight saving time. They've completely crumbled under the scrutiny over time, revealing a practice that just isn't quirky or outdated. It's a scam. You know, to understand how deep this scam goes, you know, we have to go way back to the beginning. Spoiler alert, it was never for the farmers. In fact, when the U.S. first adopted daylight saving time in 1918, farmers were the loudest opponents of the whole movement. All of my farmers that come into the barbershop here, they've all disagreed with it, you know, all of them. They all claim, I mean, you know, you're up at dawn, and then you're basically done when your tasks are all complete. Their schedules are run by the sun, not by the clock on the wall. And this forced change threw their entire operation out of sync with their supply chains. So, if it wasn't for the farmers, who's it for? You know, this is kind of one of those little opportunities. I just got to throw this in here because it's kind of in between. But I heard this about an old Native American chief's response to daylight saving time back in the day. I think it goes something like, what was it? He said, only the government would try to make you believe that you could cut a foot off the top of a blanket, sew it onto the bottom of the blanket, and end up with a longer blanket. You know, so that was their take on daylight saving time. You know, there you go, a steward of the earth calling it out like it is, right? You know, the real origins are a weird mix of hobbies and wartime panic. One of the first serious proposals came from a New Zealand entomologist named George Hudson. Back in the 1890s, basically just wanted more daylight hours to go bug collecting. And I think about the same time, a British golfer named William Willett was campaigning for it because I guess he was complaining, he was just upset that his golf game was getting cut short by the sunset. So, what do they say? He had a pamphlet and it was literally called The Waste of Daylight. You know, these ideas probably would have stayed like weird footnotes in history. But if it wasn't for World War I, 1916, Germany became the first country to implement DST to conserve coal for the wartime efforts. So, you know, logic was simple. More daylight in the evening means less need for artificial light. The United States jumped on board in 1918, a couple years later, pushed by the Chamber of Commerce, which correctly guessed that, you know, obviously, that more daylight hours meant people would go out and shop more. And funny enough, I think golf ball sales did skyrocket. You know, after World War II, the United States created the Uniform Time Act. I think it was in 1966. Regulated the start and end dates for daylight saving time. The most powerful argument against daylight savings time has always been about the health, not the history. This abrupt time shift is like a sledgehammer to our internal biological clocks. That's why medical groups like, what was it, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, have always been calling for years to abolish seasonal time changes, urging a move to be fixed year-round standard time that actually aligns with our human biology. I mean, that makes sense. I hear it's pretty efficient. Think of your body, one of my clients referred to this, think of your body as a complex orchestra running a finely tuned internal clock called the circadian rhythm, which is set by the light and darkness. Now this clock is the master conductor, keeping everything from your sleep-wake cycle to your hormones all in perfect harmony. He says that DST is like yanking that conductor off the podium and shoving in a random person in their place who doesn't know anything about the music. The result is kind of like a social jet lag, where your body clock is in one time zone and your life and work are in another. It's like living in permanent jet lag without even getting on a plane. Workplace injuries also spike. Our mental health suffers, with studies linking to transition, to the transition to mood disturbances, and it's even health crisis we knowingly inflict on ourselves twice a year. So, with all that being said, let's talk about the money. I think the largest argument that DST proponents cling to is that it saves energy, and therefore money. This might be the biggest lie of all. Modern research hasn't just debunked this claim. It's showing that DST may actually increase energy consumption. I mean, it makes sense, right? Early studies have found that tiny savings on lighting, but our energy use has changed. Today, heating and cooling are much bigger deals. You got more daylight in the evening. During warmer months just means more people are running air conditioners longer, wiping out any savings. Which makes sense, right? That's what we're doing. The Department of Energy, back in, I think it was 2008, found that DST reduces annual energy use by like a minuscule 0.03%. They're trying to bail out a sinking ship like with a teaspoon. The energy argument is dead. But it gets worse. The DST is like a subscription service that you can't cancel, that offers zero benefits and automatically withdraws billions from the economy every year. Let's see, back in 2024, just a year ago, analysts estimated the annual economic of DST in the United States to be around like 670 million. That's a staggering number when it comes directly from the cost of those increased health problems. Heart attacks, strokes, workplace and traffic accidents. You know what, and that's just the direct cost. That sleepy Monday is an economic drain. Workers are less focused. Most of my employers and managers have all mentioned a huge increase in cyber loafing. That's browsing the internet while they're working on a Monday after the time shift. Kind of reminds me of the way most of us are on the Monday after Super Bowl Sunday. That'll be another topic. So, I think maybe the most damaging evidence against daylight saving time is that most of the world has already figured out that it's a bad deal. Only about a third of the world's countries observe DST. And in the last decade, countries like Russia, Brazil, and Turkey, they've all abandoned the practice altogether. Mexico voted to abolish it for most of the country in 2022, just a couple years ago. And even in the US, the resistance is growing. Hawaii and Arizona have long been islands of sanity, sticking to permanent standard time. In the last few years, at least 18 states have passed legislation to adopt year-round DST. But they can't make a change without federal law, or whether federal law allows it. While politicians push for permanent daylight time, it's worth noting that most sleep experts still argue permanent standard time is a healthier option because it better aligns morning light with our natural body clocks. Makes sense. Regardless, the overwhelming consensus is that we need to stop the switch. Bills like the Sunshine Protection Act shows that there's real political will to end the madness. But, they're all stalled in Congress. The public agrees, guys here in the barbershop all agree, that it shows most Americans just want to stop changing their clocks. So, I guess in conclusion, let's put it all together. Daylight savings time was started based on myths and special interest. It doesn't save energy. It seems like a tradition with no modern benefits, only cost. The public is over it, we're over it, the barbershop's over it, and most of the world has already moved on. So, what do you think? Should we lock the clock on permanent standard time or permanent daylight time? You know, let me know in the comments below, please. And if you agree this time is, or that it's time to end the chaos, be sure to share this video with your friends. Remember, stay sharp and stay informed.